This episode of the Off-Road Podcast is sponsored by Warren, Medical Gear Outfitters, Colby Valve, and For Patriots. Add an extra one in there just for fun.
Yeah. And Off-Road Podcast, episode 422, unique trucks and SUVs.
Tonight, Aaron gets sand in his shorts, Coy gets a hole saw, and Ben gets a visitor.
Welcome to the Off-Road Podcast about everything off-road. We cover the news, review products, and interview people in the off-road industry. Your hosts tonight are Aaron, Coy, and my name is Ben. Welcome to the show. How's everyone doing tonight, guys?
Doing well.
Also doing well. Ben, you're really quiet.
Am I? I'm sorry.
I think you're just too far away from your mic.
Yeah, I'm getting used to this whole new setup. I moved my computer and things are just funky.
He hasn't been podcasting long, so he hasn't really built up that mic discipline like you and I.
It's a lie. That's just a green screen behind him. There's no way that he's inside of his new shop.
That's
not a green screen picture. That's a green screen picture of someone else's shop.
That I could take this right here and go.
He's got the green screen's really far behind him.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's chat GBT.
Here we go.
AI.
There we go.
Anybody could do that. Anybody
could
do
that. Okay.
Yeah. Oh man. Speaking of green screens, Coy, I haven't seen you in one of your penthouses in a while.
Yeah, I can change it up one of these days, but the economy's crappy. I had to move some penthouses around and stuff, so keep it liquid.
Well, what else have you been up to with a crappy economy, Coy?
I tried to get my windshield replaced last week. Last week, I guess. So
okay.
I have glass insurance because I'm a grown up and I pay that $1.50 a month or whatever for glass insurance. And I've used it once or twice just for like little spider web cracks. And I got like a legit crack in my window now. It's coming down from the top and it's growing. And then my wife had a crack in her window. So we had Safe Light come out and they're like, yeah, we can't do the FJ here because there's a big trim piece on the top that's got to be replaced with it. And we got to order the part and stuff. I was like, yeah, I already knew that. So it's fine. And they had to order the part and the dude was out here and he's like, that one there, you gotta call us and let us know because most of them have a white roof. Yours has a color matched roof. We might even have to order it and have it painted to match. I'm like, yeah, good. I'm glad because I have glass insurance and it's all covered. Like,
yeah,
do whatever you got to do. My wife called them. They said they had the part. She called up, made sure. It's Sandstorm, right? You know, we got notes on your account here. It's all good to go. Obviously they're not open late, so we had to drive in. I had my appointment for Thursday. She drives in with me. We drop it off Wednesday night, drive home, and I'm at work. And at 8:00 when my appointment is on Thursday, also I get a text that says my appointment's scheduled for tomorrow. And I was like, that's weird. So I called my wife. She's like, yeah, so they ordered the white trim piece. And they're like, yeah, we totally didn't know it was tan. My wife's like, I've called 3 times to confirm. And the dude's like, I'm looking on your account on the computer here. And yeah, you called 3 times. We have notes. So,
wow.
They called back today and said, we have the right piece. So I got to drive another 20 miles to drop my truck off. And then I'll get to pick that up after my wife. And just so we're clear, my wife gets off work at 7. So it's like super convenient. So Safe Light repair, Safe Light replace.
Eventually.
One of these days.
Someday. And then, have you guys ever installed coilovers in anything?
Yes. Oh man, all the time. I put coilovers. I got them on my Nissan out there.
Yeah. So I got them on the front of the FJ. I put coilovers and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Had them on Escort.
Have you ever needed a 3 1/4-inch hole saw to install a coilover before?
No.
Maybe if you're building a gambler rig or something, that doesn't seem like.
Are you modifying?
Usually things just plug in.
Oh, they do, but so I was putting some coilovers on my car. So that's what the top hat looks like there.
Yeah.
And then if you want to use the actual adjustability, you have to remove that to where you can get to. I'm going through pictures here for those listening. So you can get that. So you get the actual adjustment.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Why design the
So-
adjustment so it fits inside the shock tower, right?
So is
Makes
that
it easy.
adjusting height or is that adjusting the angle of the
No.
shock?
Camber.
Camber. Oh, so you can't. Wow, that'd be frustrating.
So I did some of that this weekend. Was working on that.
And that was on your FJ?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No, it was on my car.
Camber adjustability.
No, it was on my car. Nothing to do with off road, but
The Miata. That was on your Miata.
Yeah. My super Miata.
Gotcha.
My reverse Miata. What about you, Aaron? You work on anything? Do anything cool?
Yeah, actually, after work one night last week, I went out and got under my truck. What's cool about having a lifted truck on 35s is you don't have to like jack it up to work underneath it. In fact, I was on a creeper under my truck and was able to replace the muffler on a creeper under my truck and slide around underneath pretty much all of it. So, so I replaced the muffler. Sounds so much better. The exhaust shop that I had fix a couple holes in the system. They welded on a bracket onto the old muffler, so I'm going to need to cut that off and get it tack welded on to the new muffler just to have it support it a little better. And so got that done. Only smashed my fingers one time, so it was pretty good. It's a pretty good time. And then later that night, I drove my truck down to the creek to meet some friends down there. And then as we were leaving, the sun had gone down, and I turned my headlights on, and I've done an HID retrofit kit, and they didn't turn on. And I'm like, oh, I kind of turn them on real quick. Sometimes you got to turn them on a little slower. You can't flick them on real fast. You got to just slowly click into it. So I turned them off and back on and walked around the truck thinking, yeah, they're just HIDs. They got to warm up before you see them come on, and they just didn't come on. So I'm not sure what's going on, but I've got no headlights on the Nissan again. And one whole side is all brand new since before our trip to the McGrew Trail. And the other side was my previous setup because I didn't get the parts in time to finish the other side. So I got to dig into that. I'm hoping it's just a blown fuse somewhere.
Can I offer a quick suggestion?
Is it to sell the truck?
No. It's just an easy way to fix. We all know LED is really better than HID. Let's get you some flush mount SAE dot like Baja, flush mount, pods, and just gut your headlights, just cut the clear,
Pot it out,
and just pot straight into the clear plastic.
Oh, I'd love that. We'd have to get some DOT ones, but man, I think it'd look so hot if we made our own housings.
I don't know how the adjustment would work if I just literally just self tap it into the headlight housing. I feel like it'd be a little pigeon nose.
Yeah. So now I don't know what's going on. Besides that, we went camping this weekend. But we took the F-150 and we went to the beach. So here's a photo of, so I don't know if you know this, but not a lot of states, especially the ones in Central America, do you get to actually drive on the beach. So here's the truck parked out on Pacific City Beach. You guys, did you hear my joke?
I didn't catch it.
I said like this, a lot of states, especially the ones in Central America, you don't get to drive out on the beach.
Oh, so
yeah. That's a terrible joke.
No,
so anyways, so we went camping. We camped at a regular regular numbered campground, but it had full hookup, so I could shower, and we had lights and a heater and everything. It was really nice out of the coast. It was in the mid 60s all weekend long out of the coast instead of 95 degrees where it was back home. So it was a nice nice, relaxing time there. I got today when I got home from work, I hooked up the temporary power to my shop. So now I've got some power in there. I can turn on some receptacles. I got to still wire the receptacles in, but I'll power in my shop. I can turn the lights on and off on demand. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, that's about it. How about you, Ben? What have you been up to?
Let's see. Last weekend I was camping, so I went to Sun Lakes. It's up by Grand Coulee Dam.
Oh, that's right. That was because you weren't here last week. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
but I
got
was-
2 weeks of recap.
Yeah, I've got 2 weeks of recap, which I mean that wasn't really much. Well, I guess what I got the wheel back on the 4Runner, but I had gotten that before the show. And then so we went camping, used the
Pop-up.
the pop-up, yeah. Which we had a good time. It was fun, but got eaten alive by some like tiny bugs. They weren't mosquitoes, but like itchy like mosquitoes, like sand fleas or something. I don't know.
No-see-ums?
Yeah, like some no-see-ums or something. And like ate up the wife's legs, my legs. Everybody's got scratchy legs. Kind of sucks, but oh well. Other than that, I've had power with an extension cord out to the shop, and I got some shelving, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start moving stuff a little more seriously out here, and so I decided the computer had come out. Then it's a whole lot cooler instead of having to deal with the heat because the shop stays a little cooler. And then I was supposed to go Saturday up with Joshua. He's driving across the states. He's always in the comments. If you're watching live, he's in the comments right now. Him and his wife are traveling from his home state of Ohio. And hitting up a bunch of national parks and doing some off-roading. I was supposed to joining for part of the backcountry discovery route, but my son got an upset stomach the night before, and considering they're on a long trip, I wanted to err on the side of caution, and not, possibly infect him if it wasn't something, or if it was something more than he threw up because he had an upset stomach. So erred on the side of caution, and then got a call from him. I want to say it was this next day that he was overheating and needed a spot to change out his radiator fan, and he needed to do an oil change and all that. And anyways, I was like, sure, come on over. I mean, worst case scenario, if the kids are actually sick with something, I'll just like not come out in the garage, and you have access to a piece of flat concrete that you can use. But the kids ended up being fine. And we so his wife and him came over, we hung out, and I adopted an overlander for the night. We replaced did an oil change, and actually had to replace a wheel bearing too. His hub was making some weird noise. I don't know if it still is. He'll have to let us know. But they came, got to do a shower, spend the night, and do some laundry was the other thing, because after a week of being in the same car together and on the road, your clothes probably start to smell a bit, right?
Yeah, on those long trips, I think it's a wise idea to just throw one night somewhere in a motel so that you can clean
So
up,
they
wash your
stopped here.
clothes.
With them stopping here, I was like, do you guys want to like do a little laundry and take a shower? I'm sure your wife would at least like to take a shower.
Yeah.
And so his wife was very happy. She's like, yes, please, thank you.
Yeah.
So he's up on top of Mount, what do they call is it Mount Olympus? Is what they call the one in the Olympic mountain range?
I don't know if there's a Mount Olympus out there, but it's the Olympic Mountains, plural.
Olympic mountains, yeah.
Yeah, it's mountain range out there, and
so yeah, he's over there now. And then I hear he's going to make his way down towards Koi's house.
I think he's going to crash my house tomorrow. Sounds like he has to replace a wheel bearing again. So I don't know how much.
The other sides. So
I don't know, Ben, how much you helped him, but I don't know if you ugga things too much or too little, but sounds like another one needs replaced or the same one. I'm not sure.
No, so we were sitting there and both of them were making we were like, we weren't sure if both of them were making noise. And like he switched seats with his wife when we were driving back from dinner, and to see if, because she was hearing it on one side, he was hearing it on the other, and he replaced one of them because he had gotten one, and he was going to replace another if the other one, because that's a long drive. And we put some grease in with the other, seeing if maybe it'd help. But you could see the grease on the one that we put in. The other one, you couldn't see any grease. So he said they were some cheaper bearings. So more than likely, they just prematurely. Yeah.
So he's in the comments. He says that it is both bearings, and he picked up a second one today. So
Perfect.
Yeah. No, I hardly did any work. I mostly like hung out and talked and let him do the work. I passed him tools and stuff though. That way I didn't have to do too much work.
It's going to work out cool. He's driven from Ohio.
Yeah.
Gonna actually swing by and see me. Somebody I've talked with for a long time. My FJ's getting the window replaced. I can't even show my.
Well, you know, what sucks is like, it was like, I was supposed to go wheeling with him. I was super stoked. And like, my wife's like, you're not going? I'm like, well, with the kids, I don't want to risk him and his wife getting sick. And she's like, you were looking for it. I'm like, and here you are encouraging me to go. That's like not as common. So it was like,
I was going to try and join him and was planning on it. And my wife's like, I'm on call that weekend. And I was like, oh, okay.
You should have just came up and brought the kids. But I mean, what is that drive for you? That's just to my house, 5 hours.
I was going to meet him in Ellensburg, but
yeah, but just to my house is 5 hours plus another 3 to Ellensburg.
Well, I wasn't going to drive to your house. I was going to drive to Ellensburg from my house.
Oh, I guess you can cut up through one of the other.
Yeah, I'm going by Yakima stuff and way faster.
Yeah, it's probably 6 hour drive though still. Yeah, fun stuff. But yeah, that's
there. If you become a fan of the pod, you might have a place to work on your truck when you travel through the Pacific Northwest. That's why you should listen.
Yeah,
all the advantages.
I'm a little offended that I didn't even know he was going to Coy's house, and I'm the Nissan guy, and he's not even coming. Like, I got my shop. Whatever.
You can cut in.
Josh. It's all right, Josh. You got to come to my house.
I did tell him, I was like, you're gonna be camping in my yard, and Aaron has like a legit camp spot, and he was like, I don't know, not a big fan of Aaron. That's what he told me.
Not a big deal. I'm just eating some fresh homemade blackberry cobbler that, I mean, if he was down here tomorrow, I'm sure there'd be some. We just picked the blackberries day. Man, that's good.
Did you make that?
Oh, but that's okay. No, my wife did. Why would I make
stuff? I picked blackberries and made a cobbler sundae because I'm cool like that.
No, my wife's cool like that for me.
Well, I guess that's this week in review is brought to you by Four Patriots. Have you been concerned about what's on your shelf in your pantry or when you go camping? Since you're a listener here to the podcast, we know you at least have something for emergency food stashed in your rig. Four Patriots sells a variety of survival food equipment that pairs great with your off-road and adventure lifestyles. Use code FRN and get 10% off your first order.
We also want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Patch. Head over to patriotpatch.co and check out their selection of great patches, shirts, cleaning mats, signs, and stickers. You can also join the Patch of the Month Club for $15 and receive a patch, matching sticker, and artist proof each month. That blackberry cobbler is amazing. At least I'm getting some love here in the comments from Mark. He says he'll bring his Nissan, which is VK swapped. So maybe I'll only let V8 Nissans come to my house, Josh. I don't know. You're going to have to do an engine swap before you can come over to this cool piece of property. That's all I'm saying.
Have tire troubles ever left you deflated? Colby Valve has got you covered. Ever have a valve stem leak? Colby Valve makes reusable and easily replaceable valve stems that don't require you to remove your tire from the wheel. They work with your off-road rig, ATV, side-by-side, commuter vehicle, or even your tractor. Never be left stranded again because of a busted valve stem. They also have a tire repair kit for those punctures that keep you away from doing your favorite thing, wheeling. Make sure to check out colbyvalve.com or ask for them at your local off-road products store.
Well, our first news article is brought to us by Jalopnik. And I pretty much just have this where I'm reading all the high notes out of it, and then we can comment, a little commentary, because that's the best way for this particular article. And this one is titled, "The Chevy Malibu is Not Made to Off-Road in the Death Valley." When it comes to exploring a place literally named Death Valley, you really want to do some preparation. Two men learned this the hard way after becoming lost in the national park and getting their Chevy Malibu stuck in the mud on July 4th. The two unnamed men are facing a slew of charges and fines after getting their Chevy Malibu stuck in the salt flats that stretch across the Death Valley. The men became lost in the park after taking a wrong turn down a gravel road, after attempting to backtrack several times over the course of 3 hours before they realized they were running out of gas. In a desperate attempt to make it out of the park, they turned off the road to drive across the salt flats to a paved road. It didn't take long for their not great at off-roading Chevy to become stuck in the mud just under the baked white exterior. There is no cell phone service in most of the park, so unable to call for help, the men walked about a mile across the salt flat to Badwater Road and then another 12 miles north around 3 a.m. Around 3 a.m., the men split up, with one of them walking another 6 miles north. He was picked up by other visitors around 8 a.m. and taken to Furnace Creek, where he was able to call for help. The Good Samaritans who picked up the first man drove back to get the second man, who was at that point suffering from heat illness. The man was taken to a hospital for treatment. The lowest temperature that evening was 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what did we learn, children?
I do want to note that this episode is called Unique Trucks and SUVs. Malibu would be a pretty unique truck or SUV if you turned it into one. I just gotta say.
Yeah.
And just for anybody, just to clarify, this is not cool 70s Malibu, or it's like, this is 2001 Chevy Malibu, like front wheel drive, ugly. Why did you name it a Malibu? Malibu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Travis
know
says
when
that
you do that.
He's helped recover a Malibu at the Florence Dunes once. That's awesome.
You know, they made a series of bad mistakes, each leading to more bad mistakes.
Yeah.
I do like that they decided to split ways. Like I just imagine they're like, well, man, they shake hands. One of us is going to be alive at the end of this piece, and just walk back to back opposite directions down the road. Like, how did that work out?
That's usually not a good decision. And in this instance, apparently it wasn't. I'm also flabbergasted that it dropped to 90 degrees overnight. That's not bad. I'm sweating in my podcast room thinking about dropping to 90 degrees at night.
Yeah. No, thank you. Ugh.
I love this comment. The only thing that would have made that story worse is if they were rescued by someone in a Honda Ridgeline. So
there's no saying it wasn't somebody in a Honda Ridgeline. Like, it could have been a Ford Maverick or something. Like, I have no idea what they were driving.
Yeah.
I mean, at least the Maverick's cooler.
I really wonder what they were doing in the park to begin with. Like, what were they doing that they were driving these gravel roads to get themselves lost in the first place? Were they just exploring? I'm guessing it's a rental car also. I don't know that for sure, but
I hope
Malibu
it
seems like a car.
I also, who goes to Death Valley to the park for 4th of July?
I mean, they got an extra day off of work. Let's go to Death Valley.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when I think Death Valley, I think like I'm going super bloom. I'm going like in the winter, and it's probably still pretty hot. But
Hold
4th
up.
of July,
2 years ago, you and I went to Moab in the middle of July.
But
I know that was kind of the
but
only
that's
time we could make it work, but it
Moab.
was
I didn't go to Death Moab. I went to Moab. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go to a place notorious for killing people with heat.
I mean, I think that we were only 10 to 15 degrees cooler than Death Valley, but still.
But there's
I
no
don't know.
place in Moab I couldn't walk out of in an hour and a half. Like, you're not, it's
true.
not as
It's
desolate. There's phone service everywhere. Like, I never once in Moab was like, I'll never make it out of here. If something bad happens. It's always just like a skip and a hop away.
Yep. Yeah.
That being
All right,
said,
well,
yes, it was 107. It was hot.
Yeah, it was hot. Yeah, it was definitely hot. Well, our next news article here is from Road and Track, and it is the Bronco Raptor now gets painted fenders. Now, before we go any farther with that, I just want to mention that does that kind of put the Bronco Raptor in line with the Jeep Wrangler? Is it the Sahara that comes with
Yeah, the
painted fender?
Sahara. The Sahara, and
Sahara.
I think you can option it with a Rubicon.
Yeah.
Matching top and fenders.
Matching. Yeah, color match. So anyway, so it says the Ford Bronco and the Bronco Raptor were released with a lot of customized parts, but consumers wanted even more. When the next model opens up for orders on August 16th, the new owners will get several options. Most notably is the body colored painted fenders, which bring the new Raptor owners the chance to spec their cars with a unique balance between body color and dark contrasting components. So if I'm reading that right, does that mean like if you have a red, like if they did two different colors of red, could you do one body color red and then the fender's a different color of red?
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Red and blue, red and green, Christmas colors. I don't know. We'll have to find out.
See a
I guess
red,
when we
white,
start
blue one?
seeing ugly painted Raptors come out,
I don't think that means that you can paint it anything other than the existing body color. It's just there's a lot of black because you can't get the color matched hard tops on those. So they're saying you can balance out all that
body
black
color,
plastic
darker
with
gray.
just color match.
Okay. I can see what you're saying there. All right. I read that a few times before the show trying to decipher it.
I think I could be wrong, but I'm assuming they only color match to the paint that you ordered it in.
Yeah. Let's see. The Bronco Raptors also get new major visual options. The Code Orange package adds splashes of Ford Raptor orange all over, most notably on the new decals over the rear fenders, tow hooks, beadlock rings, and seat belts. Who doesn't want orange seat belts? You get to look like the transit buses and the dump truck drivers that you see driving around. That's going to be so cool. Orange.
Yeah, you get to.
I mean,
The
that
cops
is
can tell if you're wearing it from a mile away or not wearing it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
just what we need.
well. I mean, at least they're giving it an option. That's an expensive option if you think about it. The seatbelts being colored.
I'm sure.
I've seen it in like supercars where that's an option and it's super expensive.
But it
And,
doesn't
yeah.
sound like they're colored. They have splashes of color, like they have speckles or something. You know that like that
No,
wrap.
I think
I would think
I
it'd
think
be
they're just
full-
saying that they've
full
splashed
orange
the color
seatbelt.
here, they splashed the color here. I don't think it's speckled. I think that the tow hooks are orange, the beadlock rings are orange, the seatbelts are orange. I think that whoever wrote the article used the word splashes to indicate that it's dotted around in
They
different
used
places.
AI
And just
to
that,
write it.
the Ford Raptor decal on like the Raptor F-150s kind of has a splash look to it.
Like the mud, the mud spraying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that's
So the Bronco Raptor also gets two new colors, Shelter Green and Velocity Blue. The green is a darker shade meant to evoke Ford's involvement in World War II, while the blue is a shade already seen on non-Raptor Broncos and Bronco Sport variants. So that's super cool. Your Bronco Raptor can now have the same color as the Bronco Sport.
I also like that they named their like military green, shelter green, like bomb shelter. Like, shouldn't it be a little bit more aggressive sounding? Like, hey, this is B2 bomber green or something. Like, no,
Yeah.
this is Hyde. This is Hyde in
Bomber-
bomb shelter green.
Bomber green would have been a
Yeah.
cool name for it, but yeah, someone messed up
Yeah.
on that one. Shelter in place green.
I'm gonna call Farley and let him know that's a mistake.
All right. The last thing here says that Ford also brought together dozens of Broncos to celebrate the car's 58th birthday. It's unclear why exactly that number is important to Bronco, but Ford says that the birthday will be marked by an optional new 17-inch wheel from Method Race Wheels. Those are also available in 4 shades of Ford, on Ford's accessory site. So
They're uncertain
go.
of their ability to continue making the Bronco in 2 years. That's what they're saying.
it's, wow, that would be bad.
I also thought it was weird that they are so excited about their 50th anniversary, since you're almost to 60th, which seems like would be a big deal.
Yeah.
We're gonna go
And
58.
how can they really count it when they didn't make the Bronco for what, 20 years, 30 years?
And if we go 58th, wouldn't 60th line up on 25, which would be like a nice cool number? 60th anniversary, 25. I don't know.
On 2025.
Yeah. The
Well,
2025
I don't think they're saying consecutive
Yeah,
birthday.
well, yeah, I know, but it's like, oh,
Or
58.
well, actually, you know
It
what?
was like,
No,
cool, we did 58 years in a row or something.
it would be 58. It was the birth of the Bronco was 58 years ago. I think that's what they're celebrating. I don't think they're celebrating that they've built them for 58 years.
No, that's what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yes, it's the birth.
It died
It's-
for a while. Yeah.
It
I mean,
died
because
for a while. So
we'd have to cut out all those Bronco 2 years, obviously, because that doesn't count.
It doesn't.
I mean, that's essentially what the Bronco Sport is,
Bronco.
right?
The Bronco 3.
Yeah, the Bronco.
Bronco 3. Possibly Bronco 4. I'm still holding out for this Explorer Sport Track as the Bronco 3.
There we go.
Yeah.
Go prepared with Warren Industries. They produced the first recreational winch in 1959 and lead the industry with their dedication to quality and reliability. When you dig yourself in deep, make sure you have the right tools to get yourself out. Get Warren equipped and go where others can't. Now, let's get ready for adventure and head into our main topic.
Well, this week we got a fun show. We're going to talk about unique trucks and SUVs, stuff that you don't see very often, rigs that maybe they didn't make a lot of, or I don't want to say like variants, although a couple of them are variants of a model, so like a sub model. So we'll see.
Bit of
We
an
got-
oddball and underdog kind of situation.
Yeah. And some of these you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I've seen those. I know all about those. And other ones you're going to be like, I've never even heard of that. At least I hope that we're going to bring you some I've never heard of that rigs. So, Coy, why don't you kick this one off? Because I have a feeling that you like this has a deep spot in your heart.
I'm going to kick it off with the Toyota Trekker / Trailblazer. And yes, I absolutely love these. I think they're cool. I had a first gen Toyota pickup back in the day, and I wish I'd had a Trekker because I'd probably have kept it. And basically, this was a 4Runner before Toyota made 4Runners. I think it was Winnebago custom outfitted them. They got back seats and a basically canopy on them, and the back of the cab's cut out. They made it into a 4Runner, more or less. I think they made 2,500 Trekkers, and the Trailblazer, which was the same thing, essentially they made like 400 of. So kind of an oddball one that probably not a lot of people have even seen.
Yeah, super neat. There's some different variants of this too, where the canopy part is actually a little bit taller than the cab.
Oh,
Yeah,
I wasn't even aware of that one. Super cool one. I once in a while see one of these built out, but really, really rare. Not a lot of these left. I'm gonna go with the next one here too, because it's another one that I'm super fond of. The Suzuki X90. They made these from 95 to 97.
Yeah.
This is like Suzuki is like, we need a Miata that's four-wheel drive. And I absolutely, absolutely love these. And I'd like to see someone do like a full-on B straight axle build, like Trailer Queen version of this. I haven't really seen any in person, but it's essentially a tracker, I think.
I don't know what the chassis is, but I did read that these were a body on frame. These were not unibody.
Yeah, and then the it looks like they have a removable top. The whole top doesn't remove. It has T-tops that you can remove, and then there's actually special like slots in the trunk that go in, so you can actually store them while you're driving.
Nice.
Yeah. This is the car everybody drew when they were kids. Like when you didn't know how to draw cars, this is a car you drew.
They're disgusting, and I think that's why I like them so much.
Actually, looking at this image, this looks like someone bobbed the front and back of a Miata. I can't unsee that.
I'm telling you, it's
smaller engine in it.
Before guys start doing the like buggy Miatas and the Miata lift kits. This was like a you remember the Chevron cars, those little cartoon cars you could buy from Chevron?
Oh yeah.
This is the Miata version of that, basically.
Yep. All right. Well, the next one is the Lamborghini LM002. So this is called the Rambo Lambo. Let's see here. Mark says Little Man Cave on the Prairie on YouTube is planning to build a crazy one. I've never heard of that. This one was taken with Koi's cell phone also, by the way, this picture here.
Is this really the picture of the one are you making a joke,
no.
or is this the picture of the one I took?
I'm making a joke. I'm making a joke because last week your images were the best quality. Yeah, that's all right. So the Rambo Lambo, as some people call it, as far as I know, this was developed when they were doing the Humvee trials and things like that, and this was submitted to become a military rig, and I think a couple militaries adopted them across the world, but they didn't build a lot of these things. But they went fast across the desert. Really oddball looking, giant bulge in the hood on these things. Super cool though. Oh, there's a great photo. Totally looks like a kit car in my opinion.
Yeah.
I've actually seen one of these in person at a museum, and the interior, like there's this huge like center tunnel, and it's almost like each person has their own cockpit. It's really cool.
Kind of like the Humvees.
Yeah, they're pretty unique, and I don't want to go buy one, but I think they're really cool.
Yeah.
You would not be upset if someone gave you one.
I've heard they have one of the worst motors of all time in them, but other than that, I mean, LS swap anything, right?
Yeah,
exactly. So the next two here, the first one is a Honda Passport, and if you like look that up, you think, oh, they just came out with that. No, this is the original Honda Passport, and you look at that and you realize it's just a rebadged Isuzu, Isuzu Trooper, I believe. Am I looking at that right?
I think so.
I think it was Isuzu, like the newest generation that they made of the Isuzu Trooper. And then, or I guess it wouldn't be the newest generation, but I'm pretty sure it's a Isuzu Trooper. Honda just rebadged it so that they would have some sort of SUV. Oh, there we go. Rodeo. Josh says a rodeo.
Oh, there we go.
And then the Acura SLX was the Isuzu Trooper, the rebadged Trooper. So I got those two reversed. So there's the Acura SLX. That is totally a Trooper. Looks good. It could totally be a Toyota. Nice and clean. Isuzu made some really good rigs, really good four-wheel drive rigs back in the day. They didn't get enough credit. So
yeah, definitely lacking. Well, this next one here, you may have seen it, you may have heard it. You look at the picture and you think, is that a Hummer? And it's basically Toyota's version of a Hummer. They were trying to capture that market, and it just never really kicked off. And
I mean, I think for the Japanese military, they did okay.
oh yeah, well,
It-
wasn't it originally thought to be brought to the United States to catch that Hummer market, and then they
I
were
don't
like,
I don't think so. I think it was designed for the military. Then they made a civilian version. It was on portal axles also. I can't remember. It may have had rear steer as well.
They have rear steer, yes.
Mm, yeah,
This is a
pretty unique.
horrible looking one. They made them in like a pickup version one as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that either. Otherwise, I would have looked for that.
Yeah, they made just like with Hummers, they made them where they were just a windshield with like a canvas back, and there's multiple. At least the military versions, there's multiple versions, just like
Okay,
the
all right,
That's cool.
just like the
and look
Hummers. Yeah.
look much better than this, honestly.
The next
Yeah.
one we got here is the Isuzu Via Cross, and you guys are probably familiar with those. You've seen them.
Yeah.
It was the last Isuzu in the United States, wasn't it? Before they pulled out.
Oh, I
Or
didn't.
Was it
I didn't know that.
or their
I didn't know that,
last?
but I wouldn't be
option?
surprised.
Bro,
I
wanna say it was-
absolutely love Via Crosses, and I feel like when they built the X90, this is what they thought they were going to be made. Like in their minds, they're making this, and they did not nail it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I
Yeah, these are
think
pretty
these were
wild.
Built just as like a Dakar homologation vehicle. They didn't make that many of them, but I know they were pretty popular for that kind of deserty stuff.
Yeah. 3.5 liter V6. And you could fit some decent sized meat on the tires. Eric says they should have pulled out before making this. You're
How
hating a
dare
little too
you.
much. Yeah, these are loved by a lot of people. They're definitely ugly and weird and totally 90s, but these are good little rigs.
This is the kind of vehicle that, like, if a mid-90s cartoon James Bond was running from bad guys, there would be like 80 henchmen in these chasing him down. You know what I'm saying? Across the desert somewhere.
Yeah, so the Via Cross was introduced in '99 and it ended in 2001, and it was eliminated, costing the like 10,000 jobs. And GM pushed Isuzu to focus exclusively on commercial vehicles and engines.
Yeah, bummer. Yeah, and usually when you see these Via Crosses, I see more modded Via Crosses than I see stock Via Crosses also.
Oh, and you're lucky if you see them now. They're few and far between.
If you're buying a Via Cross today, it's not you looked for a Via Cross. Like you did just
yeah.
like, hey, here's a cool gas getter that I can drive to work. Like you sought it
Yeah.
out.
I need a commuter car. This is a weird one. Let's buy this.
I should get this odd shaped 2-seater with no trunk space and this kind of 4-wheel drive. Then we're going to go with the RAV4 convertible. I really thought you guys were going to do like a RAV4 TRD supercharged, but we're going convertible, huh?
Yeah.
They did a TRD supercharged RAV4.
There was a short moment when the RAV4 was the fastest vehicle Toyota made in like 99 because they had like a V6
their current
supercharged.
offerings, I would assume.
Yeah, but yes, like and maybe it was like 98 or 99 or 2000, whenever it was, when it was the little 2-door RAV4, they made a V6 TRD supercharged version, and it was their fastest vehicle.
Really?
It was not a
I had
good
no
time for
idea.
Toyota then.
Wow.
And then
These were kind of cool because you could take as a convertible. So most RAV4s were hard tops. So what made this one unique was that it was the convertible version. You could take that little tiny piece of fabric off the back. There's not much to it.
And these little 2-door RAV4s, while they're all independent suspension front and rear, and I don't believe they have a low range, but they actually wheel kind of decent and don't weigh hard. Like I've seen some guys put 32s or whatever on them, and they're pretty good little tiny mini wheelers for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it kind
Yeah.
of fits in with What was a side by side before there were side by side, like the off road go kartish rigs? Kind of like this next one here, the first generation of the Kia Sportage, the 98 to 2002, which, I mean, I should have grabbed a picture of Josh's. I really should have.
Yeah, same kind of deal. 2-door convertible, just a little bit bigger than a Sidekick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
These had a decent engine that would come in them as well. Kia was borrowing from Mazda at the time.
Yep. The next one we got here is the Daihatsu Rocky.
If I had a choice between this and a Samurai, I think I would totally pick the Rocky. It is super unique, and I think they look more muscly.
Wasn't the Daihatsu Rocky and what was the Dodge version? Didn't they have a Dodge version that was like the Dodge,
The Raider?
yeah, the Raider, like the first generation of the Raider?
I think that the Raider was a Montero, which is smaller.
No, it was the Montero.
Yeah, the Dodge Raider, which probably should have made this list, but it didn't.
No, it didn't.
All right, next one. This one's really unique. I'm pretty sure this one did not come to the US, and that's the Honda Crossroad. And if you're watching, you're looking at the screen, which is kind of a blurry photo here. You might think that we have a picture of a Land Rover, but that's not a Land Rover. Well, it is under the skin, but Honda rebadged the Land Rover and sold it as a Honda. This is probably the least reliable Honda in the world.
I was going to say, the countries that they did this in, how much did you think it brought down, like, their consumer reliability rating? Like, hey, we were
poor Honda.
Most reliable manufacturers. We introduced this one, and yeah, we're dropping down the list as we speak.
Yeah. Coy, why don't you take these next two? These kind of are a pair.
Oh yeah, the good old fashioned GMC Cyclone. Yeah. So this is one off of Grand Theft Auto, apparently.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that is a video game.
Ben, I expect more from you. GM Cyclone.
We need to do a better job stealing photos.
Apparently, I'm just totally.
That's hilarious.
That was. I've got a glare from behind me, and it's like, oh, this looks fine.
Yeah. That's a negative. It was a turbocharged mini truck, basically an S10. I think this body. I'm not sure the exact year they made this, but it was the late 80s, early 90s body style. But it was a little turbocharged mini truck. And then we
drive.
Yes, true. All-wheel drive. They were quite quick. In fact, Jay Leno famously was at a garage sale, looked across the street at a dealer, saw this thing, went and checked it out, and just bought it on the spot and drove one of these around as his daily for quite a while.
I believe 0 to 60 in 4.3, and I believe it was faster than the Corvette at the time.
They're a super cool truck.
Yeah,
should have caught on more, but everybody just wants to V8 swap S10s, so it's whatever. Yeah, I guess we're doing unique off-road stuff. I will say the Cyclone's not necessarily off-road, but it is all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So then we're doing the GMC Typhoon. Same thing, but with back seats.
Yeah. I think I would have gone for the Typhoon if I had a choice.
Oh,
I think the Typhoon.
Full-on gun Cyclone.
Yeah,
I used to see Typhoons used to see a fair amount of. I don't know that I've ever actually seen a Cyclone in person.
Really? Okay. All right.
I personally would have gone Cyclone because mini truck off-roader.
Mini trucks, yeah.
Just to get pull up to a street light and then crap on somebody in a tiny truck, and obviously put a giant blow-off valve on that thing.
Baby.
Yeah. All right, and next up, The Suzuki
Sus-
Samurai LWB
Long-
wheelbase.
Yeah, long wheelbase.
Have
So
you seen
I
one of
came
these in person?
I have. I was out wheeling about where Josh was wheeling this weekend, just north of Bethel Ridge. I was out near Liberty, the town of Liberty, Washington, and I did a double take as this thing drove past me, and I got my cell phone out quick enough and I took a couple pictures of it, and I went home and did some research. I thought it was custom. I had no idea that they made, basically they stretched the back end of them to make it a little bit longer, kind of like the Jeep LJs. So pretty
I've
cool.
personally never seen them. I mean, you hardly even see a 10 top, the actual hard top ones anymore, and I've never
Yeah.
seen one of these.
Yep. I'd have to dig through the photos. I don't even know where it would be in my hard drive, but actually I could find it on Facebook. But yeah, I'll start digging real quick.
Also, I'm going to do this next one, guys. I know I'm doing more in my share, but this one is one of my dream cars.
Yeah.
It's the Ford, and I never know, is it Centurion or Centurion?
I would say Centurion.
People make fun of me either way I say it. So this was essentially a 4-door OJ Bronco. It's that mid 90s Bronco, but instead of a 2-door, it's a 4-door. Most of them that I see for sale nowadays, you could get them in a 7.3 turbo diesel. They're on that 3/4 ton frame and axles and everything. I just think this would be, if you restored one and did it upright, the ultimate like crawler hauler. You could just load buddies in it, like haul whatever you want. I just think they're cool.
Can you imagine a low speed pursuit in crawl? Just like
you don't see them a lot. Yeah, Travis Hudson here says there's a Centurion running around town here. You don't see them a lot, but I do see them once in a great while, and I just think they're super cool. I think they made 15,000 of these, so there's more of them around than you think, or at least was. They made a fair amount of them.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how many got crushed with the what was it?
Probably 14,000 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. The next one we got here is the Volkswagen VanWagen Doka. So that's the Doka, the VanWagen truck, and then
It's like a stake side truck, flatbed.
Yeah, it's like a stake side truck, but it's a 4-door. Too.
You
can find them in 2 doors generally, but the 4-door is super rare.
I usually pronounce them Vanagons.
Vanagons?
Yeah,
Okay.
not Van Wagons.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm terrible.
All right, I dug into my Facebook, and here's the one I took a picture of, and it even has.
Gorgeous.
It's not a tin top, but it's a like a fiberglass hard top on this thing, and it looks like it's got a removable T-top area. I wouldn't call, like the whole panel comes off like on Jeeps.
Kind of like the Jeep tops, yeah.
These are
Never
super
seen
cool,
anything
and
like
I've literally never
Yeah.
seen one in person, just pictures.
Yep. Super cool. And I forgot all about it till we were starting to do this article, and it came to my mind as I was punching some stuff out here. All right, the next one we got is the Subaru Brat. We're like, does this one fit or not? I think it definitely fits because it's a truck. This is a unique quote unquote truck. It has a bed. What made these
all-wheel drive, whatever it was?
Yep. What made these things? It was 4-wheel drive. I'm pretty sure they had a transfer case with a low in it. What made them unique is they came with those jump seats in the back, those rear-facing plastic seats with the grab handles on them.
And when you say in the back, I want to make it clear, in the bed.
Oh, in the bed,
Outside
yes,
of
rear
cab.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these didn't come with like a canopy shell so that you were protected from the weather. No, you were in the bed.
Yeah, just imagine if you just took a couple seats and bolted them so that your back was against the back window in the pickup bed facing backwards in any pickup, and then just sell it from the factory that way. Did they actually have seat belts in those? I'm not
They
sure
would
that
have had. They would have had to. But you know what, Coy? I hope that someone out there listens to this episode and reaches out to us. I want someone in Northwest Oregon to reach out to us and be like, I have a brat. I know somebody with a brat that has those seats. I want to go down the freeway at 65 miles an hour riding in the back of one of those and just see what people think. It can't be illegal. It's factory equipment, right?
I thought Oregon, you guys could still ride in the back of truck beds.
If all the seats are taken in the cab, you can legally ride in the back.
Well, that's not hard to do.
Let's do it. Man, I want to do that. Oh.
The next one here is the 2006 International. Well, the picture I have is a 2006. It's the International CXT.
Yeah, International. I'm not sure what made them bring this truck to market. They weren't cheap, but they were. It's the biggest pickup you can buy. Essentially, it's a medium-sized semi-truck, a medium-duty truck, I believe is what they call them. And they put a Chevy bed on the back.
I've never once seen one of these, and I've seen a fair, especially, when they were still newer, I would see a fair amount of these, just like people driving them to the store. Like, I'd have never looked at one and thought that guy is, or I guess I should say I always looked at one and thought that guy's definitely compensating for something. I'm normally not that guy, but like, oh, big truck, small other things. These I am. I'm like, bro, you paid $120,000 to get half a semi to drive to Red Robin's. Like, what are we doing here?
Hey, that is cutting a little close with my LMTV that I would drive all over the place. That hurts a little bit.
Vehicle. It's a little different.
It's different. That's totally different.
Just a little bit.
It's tiny. The next one we got here is the Mercedes-Benz G63 AMG 6x6.
If you weren't compensating with the International, pretty sure you're compensating with this one.
Yeah. See, I don't see compensating when I see these. I see oil money. Just that's all I see.
That's true.
Like, I don't even think you're compensating like that. I'm just like, wow, you are a cajillionaire and you live in the Middle East.
Yeah. So if you don't know, this is the G-Wagon that has an extra axle on the back, a powered extra axle. It's not a tag axle. So this is legitimate 6x6, and every tire is on a portal. So this one is really big money. I believe this is a $250,000 truck.
And it's worth every penny of it if you can own it and take it off road, right?
I haven't followed the market value of these. I bet they never once went down in value. I'm sure they just went up.
I want to see it do something other than drive in the sand. That's all I've ever seen is these in the dunes. This would be one to take to Moab. I'd like to see what it does in Moab.
I'd like to see one on a
Sand
snow
hollow.
I'm with Ben. I want to see one of these on a snow run. That's a lot of flotation. I feel like you might have to drive in reverse to get your everywhere.
But even still, I mean, just think about the portal. So you've got all that ground clearance. So you get in the deep stuff where, some guys would be dragging bellies and it's like, oh, no, don't have to do that because of the portals. And then you've got 6 tires worth of traction. And I'm sure they're locked in the rear for if you're going up a hill and you lose one on the rear.
I'm sure it has 3 lockers.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure in the snow that you would need a very long straight road with lots of snow on it, not switchbacks, because I'm assuming that doesn't turn at all in the snow. But I would try.
Yeah, let's take that one on the Rubicon then.
Yeah.
And then our next one here is a classic. I've always wanted one of these, the Jeep FC, the forward control. So instead of having an engine there, the Gambler 500 guys are really popular for doing this. On the internet, photoshopping it is turning everything into a cab over, but it's Jeep's original cab over. It wasn't super popular, but like they're rare and hard to find nowadays. Like a beat up, rusted out body is like $10,000 nowadays.
Yeah. The next one we've got, I'm sure you guys have heard of the Land Rover Freelander, which was a giant disappointment. It was like the Ford Escape of the Land Rovers, but they made a two-door convertible in this thing too. So everybody liked the two-door convertible. This is probably like one of the last two-door convertible SUVs you can get besides the Mitsubishi Montero Cabrio Cross. This one I didn't know about until I researched this article. I do see that it's a left-hand drive model, but I don't know if these ever came to the States or not. And I thought that they were all 4 doors, and this one is clearly a 2-door. So I don't know much about the Freelanders, but this one was unique.
Josh asked, "What is that rack? Have you ever seen like a Jeep with a rack on it where they have to come down to the actual body since the removable top? The back quarter of that roof is removable, so the rack actually goes down to the unibody and then up to the hard part of the roof. So that's why it has a weird rack."
So, and the cool thing is, if for some reason you want one of these because you're like, it's cool, I want it, I want something newer, they're just now hitting that 20-year rule. So you could theoretically import one. I mean, it's a Land Rover, so make sure you have lots of tools and parts, but
It's a 25-year rule, so they're gonna have to wait.
25-year. Is it?
You're gonna have to wait 5 more years.
5
If
more years.
somebody waits 25 years to import one of these as their dream vehicle, like, I don't consider myself a bully, but I'm gonna bully the crap out of you if that's what you import. Like, I'm not holding back.
That's awesome. Good job. Ben, why don't you take this last one?
You've probably seen it, and you're like, why would they mod their vehicle like that? But in reality, this is a factory vehicle. It is the Jeepster Commando. The Jeepsters were a Jeep car, essentially. But they still had 4-wheel drive. I've seen some built for off-roading. They're just unique little trucks with removable tops, convertibles. They did them 48 to 50, then brought them back in the 60s, I think 67 to 73.
Yeah, totally unique. So Eric's in the comments says, "Where's the Pontiac Aztec, gentlemen?" Well, we've got some honorable mentions. So these ones we felt didn't fully deserve the limelight. We don't have any photos of these, so we're just going to kind of blast through them. And the first one is the Mitsubishi Montero. It's not necessarily a unique truck or SUV, although it did have some technology ahead of its time. It had lockers when other rigs didn't.
We
lockers
way back when we did a whole episode talking about involving Mitsubishi Monteros.
Yeah. So they were pretty ahead of their time. I'm going to steal Koi's thunder on this one. But any K truck, K SUV, K anything gets an honorable mention. I just think they're totally unique, totally cool.
So I've got a proud father moment. I showed my son one of these. I think it was one of the K vans, and he's like, "I like that. That would be cool to drive." I'm like, "All right, I'll import one of those for you, son."
Yeah. And if you don't know what
Seattle, just lane split with one of those vans. Can you imagine?
lane splitting? Oh my goodness. For those that don't know, a K vehicle is a vehicle that comes from Japan. It's spelled KEI. And they had serious restrictions on them in Japan. So they had to be under 660 cc's. They couldn't be over a certain length, over a certain width, and over a certain height. So very small vehicles, economical, things like that. So
They're made by multiple brands and all look essentially. I mean, Honda made them, Daihatsu, I think Isuzu made like
Isuzu.
they look essentially identical. I don't know if they are. At a certain point, it's like, how everybody makes a 1911 pistol and all the parts are interchangeable. It's kind of like that, but with a vehicle.
Well, and they've got what is it? The Mitsubishi Pajero Mini is considered a K truck.
Yeah.
There's like Honda and Toyota both make like minivan version ones.
Hmm. And there's some like
Subaru even
little
makes
tiny
minivans too.
there's little tiny sports cars and little tiny convertibles. There's just some really cool the AutoZam.
Cappuccinos and the autos. I was gonna say the AutoZam had gold wing. I'd love AutoZams.
Yes.
They're like they make DeLoreans look like crap. Anybody who likes a DeLorean, you need to get off your high horse and go check out an AutoZam.
And you'll be able to find it easier too. Obviously the Pontiac Aztec. But it's everybody knows them. It's like Pontiac's last hurrah for vehicles, right?
I wouldn't say last, but maybe their goofiest. It was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
If
It was definitely
they came out with that a few years later, they would have sold a lot more of them.
Can you imagine if they would have came out with that like 2011, 12 when overlanding was getting popular?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
They would have been all over because it had the tent, the first aid kit, like all sorts of like outdoor
seen,
oriented
like,
technology.
Guys who did it and like Photoshop ones where they're lifted with like 31s or 33-inch all-terrains on them, and they actually look pretty darn good.
Yeah. The Chevy SSR, which is I don't know, it's like a sports car looking
Super Sport
Pickup.
Roadster.
super
Yep.
sport roadster truck.
Yeah,
It
it's
was-
a retro pickup truck thing.
They were
Modern.
cool back in the day because they were a hardtop convertible, like multi-piece truck thing. So that was pretty cool.
You know, if you drove one of those, you were wearing white New Balance shoes and you wore jean shorts.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Probably a Hawaiian shirt. You were old money.
Yes. Yep. This next one is the Lincoln Blackwood. I don't know if many people know about this. Basically, it was an F-150 with a Lincoln Navigator front end on it, and it was a Lincoln F-150. The tailgate opened in the middle, like barn door style, and the bed of the truck, they all came with tonneau covers on them, and the bed of the truck was like a wood floor bed, like people like to resto out in their classic pickup trucks.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
I've seen a couple in the wild. They're
I've seen-
very underwhelming.
I've seen quite a few of these, and I always kind of liked them. All the ones I seen had like 22-inch spinners on them, and like were
Yeah.
slams. But in that space, they actually look kind of decent, slammed with giant wheels.
Coy, do you know this next one?
The Dodge Dakota Sport Convertible. This is a hideous little piece of history. There used to be a guy that ran around in my neck of woods with one of these. The convertible looked like somebody did it with a Sawzall and a boat tonneau
Yes.
cover. Like it, yes. It would be hard if you walked up to one, it would be hard for me to convince you that somebody didn't do this after they bought one off the showroom floor.
Seriously, this is all factory.
Yeah, they
Terrible looking. Coy and I
super
argued
new.
before the show. Yeah, Coy and I argued before the show of if this one should make the list. I really feel like it belongs on the unique trucks and SUVs list. The Subaru Baja. So I think they only made them for 3 years, and it was essentially a Subaru Outback that they whacked the wagon off and turned it into a bed.
I always like those.
Is it weird if
never
I would
really
tell you
thought-
that this is probably my favorite Subaru of all time?
No.
Here's a interesting fact that I don't know if you guys know, and maybe a lot of our listeners don't know. And I had to ask a Subaru Baja owner to find out this. Have you seen the license plate attachment point on those Subaru Bajas? It's on the tailgate and it looks like a wide transformer head. It's a little weird looking. So those license plates are supposed to, when you have the tailgate down, you can unclip the license plate and it'll swing down. So you can still see the license plate as you drive down the road.
Interesting.
I would rather, while I have the tailgate up, swing it up so you can't see the license plate while I'm driving with the tailgate up.
Sorry,
Why
officer.
go out of my way to make it so my license plate is visible. I'm spending my whole life trying to throw a little mud on one of the letters so you can't make out all of them. Like, why would we
Yeah.
want to make that more visible? Then we're gonna go old school Toyota Nissan dually trucks. We all remember those mini dualies.
The
Some
mini
of these
dualies.
were factory. There were a fair amount of people that did them aftermarket and stuff. And we also got to mention the super weird King and custom cabs that looked also hard for me to convince you that somebody didn't make that themselves. The window looked like it came straight out of like the side of an RV. Very, very 80s. I love it when guys take those Toyota custom cabs and build wheelers out of them. I think they look great.
Ben, can you? This one I think deserves. This next one deserves a photo. Can you? Well, let's skip this one until Ben gets a photo of it. I don't want to announce it yet, so we're gonna skip that one. The next one is a Isuzu Amigo 2-door. So the Amigo was way bigger than the Samurais, in my opinion. Sorry, way bigger than the Sidekicks. So bigger. I feel like they're bigger than RAV4s and all that kind of stuff. Almost a mid-size SUV, but it was a 2-door.
Yeah.
But those are pretty decent little runners back in the day too. Isuzu had it going on. We may have to do a revisit Isuzu episode because they had a whole lot going on.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're into the sports car side of Isuzu in the same time zone, they were like throwing it down with some really cool sports cars too. All-wheel drive, turbocharged and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just handling by Lotus. I love that.
Handling by Lotus, yes. Yeah. Yep.
All right.
So just had
jump-
Lotus tighten the sway bar in links or something.
So the one that we skipped over here that I grabbed the picture for is the Ford Revcon Trailblazer.
Do you guys know about this one?
I know nothing
I've
about this.
seen them, but I didn't know much about them.
This was Earth Roamer before Earth Roamer, and I don't think they're any affiliation, but imagine Earth Roamer in the 90s. So this is to describe it for our audio listeners. This is a 4-door
Earth Roamer in the early 2000s, Aaron.
That's true. This is a 2000s chassis. Yeah.
This is a 2000, literally.
So 4-door super cab, so like an F350, and it also is a 6x6. I don't know if it's 6-wheel drive or if it's just a tag axle. Probably just a tag axle. And then it has a whole fiberglass camper built onto the back of it. It's almost like a Class C motor. I mean, it is a Class C motorhome where you have that bunk up above the cab of the truck, but this is extreme, and they built quite a few of these. They're pretty rare, and they go for a lot of money when they go for sale.
So that one is a 90s OBS.
Yeah,
that is a 90s in that one. Yeah.
So, and the cool thing is, something you kind of left out is they are crew cabs. So you've got 4 doors, and so it's like you fit the whole family versus having to worry about some of them not in there.
I just imagine this. You got one of these. It's 1996. You're towing one of those giant cigarette speedboats. You've gotten in some trouble. You've gotten in some trouble with the drug cartels, but you're making a lot of money. Like that's the whole vibe I get. Like Miami Vice. Like
that's what Travis is saying here in the comments. It's an Earth Roamer, but it's been influenced by cocaine. So I noticed on that one, that last one that Ben had up, not only does it say 4x4 on the fender of the truck, it says 4x4 in the very back of the motorhome camper area. So that makes me believe that second axle is just it is just freewheeling back there. It doesn't have anything powering it. All right, the next few kind of all conglomerate together.
Yeah, they do.
The Sherp the Pinzgauer, the Unimog, the Volvo C303, the LMTV. These are honorable mentions. They're definitely unique, but they're well known enough that everybody knows what they are. Maybe they don't know what the Volvo C303 is. Imagine an uglier Pinzgauer. That's all you got to do.
I don't know. I like the Volvo a little more than the Pinzgauer.
Really? Man, I think they're ugly.
Maybe it's just because it's Volvo versus
I don't know,
Pinzgauer.
those Bengals are 6x6s. Pretty cool.
There was that.
they are. Especially
There
with
was
the
There was one at the campground. It was just a 4x4, but there was one at the campground that we were at. They were renting a cabin there.
well, and the Volvos are mostly hard-sided from what I remember versus the Pinzgauers.
No, they came with cloth tops. In fact, I believe they would come convertible as well, cloth top convertibles. So
Okay.
really, really wild. They had a bunch of different versions of them.
All right.
Who wants to take the last one?
I will. I've got to take this last one because obviously this is a very unique one. It's the Honda Ridgeline.
Yes.
I mean, it's got that dual functioning tailgate. It's a unibody and so extremely capable that everybody needs one, right?
You know, reminds me of that age-old saying, just because you're unique doesn't mean you're useful. I feel like Ridgeline really embodies that.
Oh man, we just love dogging on the Ridgeline.
You know, it's funny, but like those Ridgeline owners are serious about their Ridgelines. Like, oh, it's got this feature and this feature. I'm like, yeah, does it have lipstick instead of a cigarette plug lighter? You know, do you remember that Simpsons episode? Or maybe it was King of the Hill. I think it was King of the Hill, and his wife got a truck, and it had like cigarette instead of the cigarette thing. It had a lipstick holder, and yeah. Well, next week is.
I think another honorable mention should be from The Simpsons, the Caldero.
Canyonero.
Yeah, Canyonero. Yeah,
yeah, the Canyonero. That is an honorable mention for sure.
The old Canyonero.
Yeah. Next week is mid-sized rigs with V8s.
All right, this was a fun episode. I enjoyed doing this one. I think next week's going to be another good one. Similar to this. So make sure you tune in to talk about vehicles like mine. None of yours, but vehicles like mine that are mid-sized.
Could have been, right?
Could have been, but it wasn't.
I think we're talking about ones that came from the factory with V8s.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, all right. I mean, they did make one from the factory and they brought it to SEMA, but only one. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening to us, hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys. Love that you're tuning in. Josh is out there in the wilderness tuning in from a mountaintop.
I bet his wife is just loving that they're camping together. Some romantic on top. He's on top of the truck with his phone, just listening to some podcasters.
He's making her hold it up in the air to get signal while he's watching it. Yeah. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Facebook is probably the best way because that's where most of the comments are.
Facebook or YouTube? Those are the
sorry,
big two.
YouTube. I meant YouTube, but Facebook also. Make sure you're sharing us with your friends to help us grow, and God bless America. Also, don't forget to visit Patriot Patch, join the Patch of the Month Club. Check out our Gaia affiliate link for up to 40% off. Also, don't forget to head over to Warren, Colby Valve, and 4 Patriots to see all of their great products. We are a proud part of the Firearms Radio Network. Got a question or a comment? Send it to us through our Linktree account or by searching for Off-Road Podcast. Also, you can listen to us live at overlandradio.com Mondays at 7 p.m. Pacific or on their new app that I mentioned. When off-road, please remember to have fun, tread lightly, be safe and courteous. Thank you for listening. And soon Ben will have this recorded so I won't have to read it every week.
Maybe. And just proof that this is real. There's another one. Okay, didn't hit the ladder.
Ben's wood was clearly green screened in.
green
Yeah,
screen
it's so
completely.
so fake. Fake
So
wood.
fake.